that, but thought we had a good spring, and it's as I told the team, it could be a great spring if we will take what we did this spring and apply it this summer, and and build, in some areas that we need to. Guys got to come back smarter. They got to grow their knowledge this summer. They've got to improve their fundamentals, their techniques. All of them have specific things that we're asking them to do, whether it be, add size, flexibility, whatever. So if we'll do those things that we've asked them to do, then it could be a great spring. But disappointing that we had a couple injuries. But as we all know, that's a part of the game, and you gotta deal with that and overcome those things. So those two guys will have surgery, I think, May the 3rd, Coop and Chad, and we'll start that process of getting them back. With that, I'll take your questions.
I guess the thing that probably stood out to me was Brandon Thomas at left tackle, then Eric McLean, then Isaiah Battle. Just talk about that whole battle there. Yeah, basically the way we came out of spring was, right now we're still trying to find who the best five are, what the best combination is, and the thing I like, I'm really okay with our OL not being very settled right now because we got a lot of competition. And we didn't have that this time last spring. We had a lot of drop-off this time last spring. We had some guys that I felt like that weren't ready coming out of spring, but, with a summer, with a fall camp, that, we could get them ready. And probably going to have to hold our breath a little bit early in the season, but see some guys improve. And a guy like Shatley last year, he hadn't played. He's got to go get some live bullets. But I felt like that he would do the things he needs to do to prepare himself. I was really confident having a guy like Dalton to lead that group all summer long, knowing that we were going to have to, Giff hadn't played, Beasley hadn't played. Norton hadn't played. Those were guys that were all key contributors to us last year. Kalen hadn't played. Battle was just getting here. Mac was playing tight end. So there was a lot of moving pieces. This time of year, or this time, it's much more competitive, and that's a good thing. Because I think that's going to really carry over into the summer. At least I hope it does. But as far as this depth chart, it's just what's on paper. It really is. It doesn't mean a whole lot right now. Brandon, but coming out of spring, right now Brandon and Giff give us the most stability. But these are two guys that just won 11 ball games too. So I'm not surprised by how it came out. Eric had an excellent spring. He's still not quite there. He's still making that transition because it's really all new to him. But boy, is this guy committed, and is he focused? And personally, Max listed at left tackle, and that's just where we wanted him to learn in one spot. And let's be fair to him. Let's let him just learn one thing and really get his feet on the ground. But I think he's going to be able to play either tackle, either guard. I really do. As he goes through these next 3 years, I'm really excited about him. And then Battle just we want it for him, and it's all there, but he's got to do it, and he's just not quite there yet. But I'm patient. He's a freshman. He's coming. Vic Beasley this time last spring, I couldn't get anybody in the whole room to even give him a thumbs up. Now he's the best player we got. So it's just, sometimes guys don't come as soon as you want them, and you just got to keep coaching, keep pushing them, and hope that light comes on. But I had a great meeting with him, and I'm confident that he's going to bust his tail this summer. And if he does that, his ability will eventually will kick in, and he'll be what he's capable of being. But he's got to make that commitment. I can't do it for him. But he made some progress. He did some good things in the spring game, which was encouraging. So, we'll see. But he's got to have a great summer in the weight room. He's got a lot of things he's got to improve upon. But again, a lot of competition in our offensive line.
If you could wave a wand, would you leave Thomas at tackle, or would you have one of those other guys step up so you?
At the end of the day, I just want the best five. I think we're very fortunate to have a guy like Brandon Thomas and a couple other guys, DeStefano, McLean, Reed Webster. That's the guy that I think has a chance to be a starter for us.
I think, we're not talking about Reed Webster, but this guy had a great spring, was incredibly consistent. It's like the light has gone on for that young man. Played 3 positions, played both guards, center. So he's in the mix. Don't count him out of it. And very strong. He's really gotten committed. One of the strongest guys we got on this team, and technically has improved so much, and mentally knows a lot. And so we just got a lot of things going on, but however it shakes out, I just want the best 5, but having a guy like Brandon gives us a bunch of flexibility because he can play left tackle, he can play either guard, he can play right tackle, and he really don't care. And so it gives us the flexibility to be able to, okay, if this guy here, maybe he's over here, maybe it's the backup left tackle. Maybe he needs to be in the top 5. All right, well, we got that flexibility. So I think that's a good thing.
Obviously losing Sam was huge. As fall camp progresses, do you just try to get Seconder and Leggett doing the same thing as he did?
Yeah.
How much is that going to impact?
Yeah, well, athletically, Stanton and Seconder and JJ, all 3 of those guys are going to be outstanding. I mean, they're very talented, and they can all run and catch. The big thing you lose with Coop is, he's a 4th-year vet. He's crafty. He's figured it out. He knows how to get it done. He was our thumper at the point of attack. 255-pound guy that's been in the battles, battle-tested, just smart as anything, because of the experience, the reps. And he certainly wasn't there when he was a freshman or a redshirt freshman. But he's a guy that's played a lot. And so we're losing that experience factor from that position, but those other guys, are going to work their tail off this summer. We've specifically asked them to all improve in certain areas. I think Stanton, if he'll come back here 225, 230, I think he'll be a guy that's going to be a big factor for us. Leggett, I think, has a chance to come in here about 245. He's about 235 this spring. I could see him being a 245-pound guy. The biggest thing drop-off-wise that you have is just knowledge, and again, haven't been there. But I think we got good pieces there. We just lose that experience. We're probably going to have to ask a little bit more of Darryl, who's as good a leader and a player as we have on this team with his role. But probably going to have to ask him to do a few more things that we haven't had to, just simply because we've had different guys here. But we'll be okay. We'll see where those guys are, and when we get back and do what we do. But if we can't get certain things done, then we'll look at some other options.
Can you separate those 3 tight ends in terms of inline blocking and pass receiver? Yeah,
I think that all 3 of those guys, Seconder and Leggett and JJ, are very similar athletically. They all have the ability to catch the ball. They all have the ability to run with the ball, yards after the catch, make people miss. I mean, that's a very natural thing for those guys. It has not come as easy for JJ. JJ didn't play tight end, as a lot of y'all, if you remember him in recruiting, he was more a running back. And so that progression has been a little different for him. Leggett played tight end. That's what he's done. He's been a kind of a split out guy, put him on the line some, but that's what he's always done. Seconder has always played wide out, so part of the position comes natural to him. But the thing with Stanton that I'm proud of is, that kid is tough as nails, and he's really kind of like Brandon Ford, very similar. I think he's more athletic than Brandon. He's faster than Brandon. He's got similar ball skills than Brandon Stanton does. And he's kind of making that same transition as far as, kicking out on the power, rapping on counters, understanding pass protection, things that you just don't do as a wideout. You don't ask those guys to do that. And so he's bought in. He is not afraid. He just needs a little bit more mass to him. And that's what he's working on. So I'm excited about, I think he'll come back in here about 2:30. And if he just needs a little bit more meat in his pockets there, so he can perform his role a little bit better. But it's not a matter of him not being able to do it, and Danny's done a great job. Stanton can go win for us. I believe that. He's just got to physically give himself a few more tools. Leggett just caught on. I mean, I think I told y'all that he's probably the surprise of the spring to me. Not that he's a good player, but just how quickly he caught on. I mean, it's a very difficult position that he plays. We ask our tight ends to do a lot of things. I mean, probably next to the quarterback, they probably have the most challenging role on the team. And it really uncanny to see a freshman just grasp it like he did. And really just not overwhelmed. Has a knack for making plays. Same thing with him. He didn't do a lot of the things we're asking him to do as far as a tight end, because we have a physical presence that we have to instill in that position. He didn't do as much of that in high school. He did some of it, so he's learning that a little bit too. But he's got he's a big old boy, and like I said, I think he'll come in here 240 plus. So I think he'll be fine. And then JJ is incredibly gifted. He's just got he's not mentally where those other two are right now. But hopefully he'll be one of those guys that'll apply the things he learned this spring all summer long, come back in, another camp, another installation, and he'll take another step for us. So that's where they all three are. But they're similar in a lot of ways, and a few differences, but more similar than anything.
You can't afford to hit at receiver, can you?
Well, we got 6 guys that we can go win with today that I feel good about. I feel great about Sammy and Martavis and Sharon and G-Hop, Adam, and little Matt Porter. We could win with those guys. I don't have any problem with any of those 6 guys. But we got 3 guys coming in here that'll add to the mix. With Mike Williams, I'm excited about him. I'm excited about Priester. I'm excited about TJ. So we'll have 9 guys, and our number's 10. That's what we carry from a scholarship standpoint. So we're 1 under at the position, and that'll be another emphasis for us in recruiting this year. But I feel good about what we got. But you don't really want to have a hit in any position. You start losing 2 or 3 guys, you can get thin pretty quick. But I think we've got a little bit more depth there than when we do at some other positions.
A couple months ago, he said you thought it would be better for him if Hopkins stayed back this year, stayed in school this year. Now it looks like he might go in the first round.
Yeah. What I said was, if he could be a first rounder, then he should go. And if he was second round or below, then I feel like he's going at a discount, because I felt like he's a first round draft pick. That's his talent, and I'm really pleased with how this process has gone, because he's worked out well. He's done everything that he could control. He ran what I thought he would run. His film is tremendous, as we already knew. And, he had good interviews. He's very smart. He's done a good job when people put him on the board and things like that. And I think he's got a great chance of being somewhere in the first round, probably late. But I think he's got a very good chance, based on that. My concern back a few months ago was, him going the other way and not being a first-round guy. And because I really felt like he was a first-round talent. I think he's the best receiver in the country. He's a great player.
Why would he go the other way? I don't understand. That he would drop?
I was just concerned with as many juniors that were coming out, and he got a second-round grade, and most of the time those grades are if you get a second-round grade, you may go second round, but a lot of times you usually may drop a round. But that was my concern with him coming out. But I supported him 100% with his decision. All I can do is give him an opinion. And but ultimately, they have to make their own decisions. And he felt like, that's what he told me. He said, "Coach, I think I can improve my stock. I think I have a chance to be a first rounder." And I said, "Well, if you can be a first rounder, then I think that's great." But you know, and we've done everything we can to certainly help him in that regard. But you know, he's going to be a special player, whoever gets him.
Who takes that role of the, you know, consistent double-figure catch a game?
Well, we're going to find out. You know, I mean, hopefully, you know, Sammy is on the field every game. I think obviously that's a good place to start. He really only played about 7 games last year.
Is it a different role, though?
No, he's actually worked at the 9-man, what we call the 9-man, all summer. Not that we're not going to also continue to use him in some other capacities that we did at the 2-man, but he's worked a lot there. The other guys, you know, that got to step up. Martavis Bryant. I mean, how many catches does Nuke have? 80 something?
82.
82 catches. So there's 82 catches that are on the table, basically. You know, and between Sharon Peak and Martavis Bryant and Adam Humphreys and Jermon Hopper, and you know, there's a lot of catches to be distributed amongst that group to a really talented group of guys. So, you know, I'll be one of them. Somebody's gonna step up, and we'll find out who it is.
But it sounds like you're okay with it being by committee, those 82 catches, as opposed to somebody else catching 82.
No, I'd be fine with somebody else catching 82. I just don't, you know, right now I don't know how that's going to play out. You know, because they're kind of all right there together. You know, when those guys came in here, Nuke Hopkins was here, and you know, he was just ahead of them. You know, it's just that simple. And it was hard for them to beat that guy out. Not that they're not great players, but you're looking at a guy that's a first, second round draft pick. I mean, he just, you know, he wasn't going to relinquish. You got to give him the credit. That's just the nature of it.
Dabo, do you sense that you have maybe fewer question marks going into next year and more depth, and the program is maybe on the verge of something really big?
Well, I hope so. I mean, I have less question marks about this team than I did, you know, coming out of spring last year at this time, just because we were totally starting over in the offensive line and the defensive line. We've got more competition in the offensive line, having only lost 1 guy. We're light years ahead in the defensive line, having only lost 1 guy. You know, so I just feel much better about that key area. You know, I've never had a third-year starter back at quarterback. You know, and you know, he ought to look like a third-year starter. I mean, he should handle himself that way. He should play that way. He should, you know, hopefully continue the trend that he's been on really since he was in high school. As he's gotten better every year, and you know, he's still got a lot of room for improvement. But you know, you got a quarterback back. I feel good about the development of our running backs that are in our program. I'm excited about some new pieces coming to join us. You know, I like the talent that we have at tight end. I love the talent that we have at wide out. We've got some guys that's got to, you know, kind of take the next step in their careers. You know, I mean, who was going to replace Dwayne Allen last year? You know, Brandon Ford was kind of a, you know, we were hoping, and you know, he's got a good chance to be drafted this weekend. Broke Dwayne's record, so. It's good to see guys develop and emerge, and I think, you know, we've got the right pieces. Now they just got to go perform and do it. I feel good about our linebacker situation. I'm concerned in secondary. That's my biggest concern on our team, just because, you know, that's a major area, first of all, of improvement. Major problem from a depth standpoint. That's why we were having to cross-train Adam Humphreys last year. We were really, really thin, a lot of injuries, and you know, we had just no competition, no depth. That's fixing to change drastically. I mean, we got 8 new bodies coming in here. We're going to have 15 guys. Our number's 14 in the secondary. We're going to have 15 on scholarship. And so we didn't have that last year at all. And so we've got 6 guys that I think are veterans in the secondary that have all played. They've all performed well at times. They've been inconsistent at times, but they've been a part of a lot of wins. And hopefully those guys will take the next step, you know, a Robert Smith. You'd love to see Gary and Darius and Martin Jenkins and Breland. Those 4 guys have all played, and they all have experience, and they're all juniors and one senior in Darius. So you'd like to see those guys kind of grab a hold of their opportunity and seize the moment and become what they're capable of being. And then you want to see Travis Blanks continue his improvement. Let's go have another good year. Let's become a solid force at the safety position. You'd like to see Robert take another step, and I think he will. But outside of that, we're just pups. So there's a lot of unknowns in the secondary. Now, athletically, we're going to be totally different. Competitively, we're going to be totally different. We got speed coming in. We got a lot of pieces that we're going to be able to maneuver, and it's just a matter of figuring out who's ready, who's not, but we've got more to draw from. But that's probably the biggest concern. But I like our team. We got a lot of work to do. As I told them yesterday in team meeting, listen, the difference between 6-7 and 11-2 is that much. I mean, it really is. It's really that much. And so guys have got to stay committed. They got to be about the right things. They got to control the things that they control, make good decisions, have great work ethic, study, pay the price this summer, chemistry, leadership. There's a lot of things that you deal with when you are starting over as a team. And, hopefully we can catch a little luck somewhere along the way, injuries and things like that, because that's always a factor as well.
Are the limits maybe just a little bit higher now to what this team can do?
I mean, I don't know what I think Clemson, my message to our team all the time is listen, it's about Clemson. Clemson, we are our only limitation. Let's worry about us. Let's do everything we can to be the best that we can be. When the year's over, we'll be proud of what we've done. What that is it 14-0? Is it 10-4? Is it 7-7? I have no idea. All I know is let's just compete every day. Let's practice with purpose. Let's pay attention to details. Let's all commit to a certain standard, and whatever our total commitment is to that standard, that's what we'll get. And our team has, I think, a good attitude and a good grasp of that. Every game is the biggest game of the year. We can't look ahead and focus on some destination that we're all trying to. Here's the journey we're on, and let's just get better today. Let's control the things that we control. Things change, things happen. We don't go into the season saying, hey, we're going to win the national championship or anything like that. I mean, we could win them all, and who knows? We still may not win it. We could lose 2 and still win it. I mean, you never know. You just got to just keep competing. Keep working and controlling the things that you can control.
Are these next 3 months the scariest for you because you don't have a hook on a lot of these guys? You don't have them in organized events and things that you kind of turn them loose and say, okay, now.
Yeah, well, it's not like the old days. I'd be a little more concerned if they were checking out right now and I wasn't going to see them again until August. And they used to, that was the way it was. You just counted on people showing up, and used to camp was to get guys in shape. And it's different now. I wish I could be out on the field with them. But, they're here. I see them. They're all in school. Everybody's here nowadays, summer school. They go to summer 1, they go to summer 2. They're working out, they're training, they're doing their skills and drills. The thing that's always interesting to see is how are the leaders going to manage the team? That's the thing that's always fun to watch, because this is really when the team transforms. We kind of get ready January to April, May to July, we got to transform. Mentally, physically, everything. Leadership, because it's dog days. They're here working out, they're going to school, they're out there running in the heat. We've got skills and drills 2 days a week, first term, then it goes to 3 days a week, second term. They got to run that and manage that, and you got to depend on the leadership of your team to do a good job with it. And I think they're going to do a great job. They've got a great plan in place, but we'll see. But again, it's not like we're not here. You know, we see them. The biggest concern that you have, I would say, for probably every head coach out there as you go into the summer is you got, 115, 17 to 22-year-olds, and they got more free time as far as, more challenges, making the right decisions, surrounding themselves with the right people, because, nobody wants to have distractions.
You have more free time now?
Sure. In the summertime? Absolutely. Absolutely.
You were saying in the old days, you would let them go and not know where they were. But now,
Yeah, they went home. They didn't stay. They didn't go to summer school. They went home. They worked jobs, they did different things, but now they're here all summer.
you have stuff for them to do.
Well, they work out, they train, they take one class. It's not like they're taking 12 hours of school.
It means more free time as opposed to regular academic
Yeah.
back compared to 20 years ago.
Yes, yeah, they got more free time. It's not as structured as it is in spring semester or a fall semester. Summers aren't that way. They're taking one class, they're lifting, they're training, but they don't have quite the pressures on them, and they got a little more time at night and things like that.
Can you kind of evaluate your pass rush? Am I right when I think Beasley would, if we're line up your number one pass rush guy right now, is probably him?
Oh yeah, no question.
And-
Just strictly a pass rush guy, yeah.
Right. Can you kind of talk about that a little bit in terms of what it means to this secondary concerns that you were just talking about?
Yeah. Well, we were not very good. It was either in looking at ourselves, I think it was the first 7 games, either the first 6 or first 7, we had 8 total sacks, and either the last 6 or last 7, whichever way, it was 28 sacks.
Yeah.
So we greatly improved, and we got better defensively as a result of it. So, being able to pressure the quarterback is paramount. If you're going to, be good on defense, especially when you're playing teams that can throw the ball and quarterbacks that can bounce around and buy time in the pocket and things like that. So the pass rush is critical. And if you're, I don't care who you are back there on the secondary, you can't cover guys all day. It's just not going to work. I mean, guys are they're too athletic, too fast. Guys will get open, and good quarterbacks will find them if they've got time. So that's an area that we really, really improved in last year. In fact, heck, I think we ended up finishing, maybe 3rd or 4th in the league, and really did it the second half of the season. So, and we picked up there this spring. I think our pass rush is going to be really good. Vic Beasley is a key part of that. He's certainly just the most dynamic guy that we have as far as just purely going and getting the quarterback. And I'm excited about him. He is. It's just this is why you coach. It's what it's all about. It's seeing guys improve and guys buy in and guys develop and seeing potential in guys and just eventually the light coming on for them. And now, I mean, that guy is. And we had a hard time with him this spring. I mean, he is I'm glad he's on our team. And he's working, he's bought in, he's physically doing the things that he needs to do to give himself to improve as a player. He needs to become an every down player. He's got to be a guy that's better against the run. I mean, and he can do all of that. He's actually becoming a little bit of a leader, which is I thought I would never say. So I'm really proud of him. Same thing with Tavares. Same thing with Corey. Those 3 guys right there, I think, are really good players, and it's fun to have some guys like that understand. They've been through some battles. Tavares is probably the most talented guy across the board that we have, but he's been a maturation process, and he's still not close to what he can be, but he's on track. And Corey Crawford is special. He's a special player, special person, leader, fully committed. And I think those 3 guys really give us a good group. And then you throw in there Dodd. His progress in 1 year is amazing. It really is. Y'all, nobody asked me about Dodd, but after this season, everybody's going to be asking me about Dodd. I promise you. Kevin Dodd is going to be an outstanding player. I'm really, really proud of him and his development after 1 year. This time last year, we were like, put him on the shelf for a year. We'll dust him off and see if anything sticks next year. And toward the end of the year last year, Dodd was competing, and he's just changed his body. He's big and strong, and he's got some burst to him. I'm really excited about him. Then you throw in a couple of those freshmen. Ebo and Shaq Lawson's probably as talented guys we've signed here in a long time. So we've got some depth at that position that we certainly didn't have last year. I mean, literally, we came out of spring feeling like we could win with one guy, and we feel good about 6 of them right now.
Is it even with the secondary that you talked about? Is it less? Do you think it's less of a transition defensively this year than it was a year ago because of the new system and all?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, that's a huge part of it. Guys are just further along. They just know more. Brent is very comfortable. We're at another level defensively from a mental standpoint.
Yeah. And how do you, with all these explosive offenses, yours being one of the prime examples, how do you think of what a good defense is anymore? Because the numbers that we used to think of for a good defense kind of don't apply anymore. The last 2 years, your defense has given up the most yards in school history, but last year was a pretty good year. So,
yeah.
How do you?
Well, I still measure it the same. The thing I look at is scoring defense. That's the thing that matters to me. The rest of it, I really don't care about. Big plays and scoring defense. Can we improve there? Can we keep them out of the end zone? Can we hold them to field goals in the red zone? Can we minimize the big plays, those 16 yards or longer passes, those rushes of 12 yards or longer? Can we cut that down? 70% of our big plays last year were pre-snap. Pre-snap. We were beat before the ball was even snapped. And that's part of that transition that you're just talking about, and guys, growing up in year 2 and really understanding and being able to apply it to whatever's presenting itself on the field. Wrong position. Inside should be outside. Outside should be inside. Wrong gap. Eyes on the wrong thing. Depth is not right. Too deep. Should be up. So many things that we didn't give ourselves a chance to execute pre-snap. And so those are things that we control. But for me, defensively, it's all about scoring defense, big plays. Again, the rest of it, if we can keep them out of the end zone, we're going to be good. And, we were really good on defense my first 2 years here from a scoring defense standpoint. And in 2010, quite frankly, that's why we had a chance to, we had like 5 or 6 losses by like 6 points or less. But we were able to stay in games because we could keep them out of the end zone, and it gave us a chance. We just didn't quite finish in some areas, but we found ways to win the last 2 years, despite some flaws in some spots. And that's what good teams do. That's what you do. But I think we'll be drastically improved defensively.
Guys, I got to get into the